Alright, welcome to day 5 of the sales order SD class. In this class and the next class, day 6 as well, or maybe part of it, we are going to talk about the sales order and the most important fields in the sales order and its business significance. To start off with, we'll see the structure of the sales document. Now sometimes I say the word sales document and sometimes I say sales order. In the industry, these are kind of used interchangeably. Sales order, sales document, roughly the same. But ideally speaking, a sales document is a more generic word, and the word that SAP prefers as well. A sales document could be a quotation, inquiry, order, contract, so on and so forth. A sales order is just an order, which is a particular subtype of a sales document. So a sales document is a more generic term, whereas a sales order is a specific transaction. It's not a quotation, it's not an inquiry, but it's an order. And we already know what is the difference between an order and a document. Okay, so a sales document or a sales order contains mainly 3 pieces. The first one, this is the header. These are line items, and these are called schedule lines. Schedule lines. Now each order will contain one header. Okay, more than one schedule lines are possible. It could be one or more than one line items, and then each line item could be associated with one or more than one schedule lines. So this is also one or greater than one. Once again, the header, each sales document contains one header, one or more than one line items, and each line item is associated with more than one or more than one schedule lines. Now once again, you could still call it an order and not have any of the line items. Perfectly feasible. Okay, and when you don't have line items, you don't have schedule lines as well, right? So there could be an order with no line items technically, but it doesn't happen a lot in real time. Okay, so that's the structure of a sales document. Now let's explore, go inside and see what's in the header, what's in the line items, and what's in the schedule line. Let me log on, and then while it does that, we have already seen a sales order in action. In fact, we have seen 3 different types of sales documents. I hope you remember they are orders, quotations, and inquiries. And if you go to any of them, you'll see what is called as an application toolbar that contains specific tools that are used to operate on the transaction. For example, we have seen that this is the document flow, this is the status, and so on and so forth. This is reason for rejection, so on and so forth. We'll see some of the important controls again as we go through the rest of the slide. So this is the toolbar, which contains icons that have a respective action that is taken by the system when you click on that icon, right? For example, if you click on this icon, it will take you to the document flow for that transaction, right? So let me log on to the system and then show it to you while we look at the screenshots as well. Okay, so let's create a transaction. You could create an order, you could create a quotation, you could create an inquiry. All of them have the same structure, more or less. Header, line items, schedule lines. Okay, let me use the customer 1000. Enter test PO. Select some bill to party, ship to party, payer. And enter the material number and order quantities. In this case, we are just entering M01 and an order quantity of 1. And when it's done, we're just going to save it, and this is going to generate a sales order as we know it. All right, while it does that, okay, that's fine. While it does that, let's move on in with our workbook. Okay, so we know that there is a header, there is a there are line items, and each line item has n number of schedule lines. How do you navigate to the header first, and then we'll move on to the line items? The way to navigate to a header is, let me go back and open the transaction VA02 or VA03, and then we'll see how to navigate to the header. Now look at this button over here that I'm highlighting with the mouse. Click on that button to go to the document header. This is the button that you use to go to the document header. Once you click on that, it will take you to a different window, or it will take you to another window which will have a whole bunch of tabs like sales, shipping, billing, accounting, so on and so forth. It's just a nice clean way to segregate the tons of data available both at the header as well as the line item level into logical sections. So the sales tab will only contain sales relevant information for that order. The shipping tab will contain shipping relevant information, so on and so forth. So that's how you go to the header. Now, how do you go to the line items? So there are 3 line items in this case, for example, and then if you want to go to a line item, just double click on this line item anywhere on this line. Generally, you double click here, right? Double click to go inside the line item level details, or you can single click on this 10, 20 line numbers. Okay, like how? Like you get this M01, right? So I'm doing a double click on M01, and then you go into the line level details for line number 10. As you can see, there are a whole bunch of tabs here, very similar to the way that we have tabs in the header. We have sales, shipping, billing, conditions, and so on. If you look at this screen and want to identify whether you're looking at the header data or the line item data, here is your clue. It mentions the document item, and then it says item data here, which means we're talking about item. Whereas if you go back and then double click somewhere on the header or click on that header icon like this, it will take you to the header, which will give you either the order number if you have saved it, or it will say in the application title bar that it's header data. So that's how you can quickly identify whether you're looking at the header data of the transaction or the line item data of the transaction. Alright, so we know how to navigate to the header now. We know how to navigate to the line items. If there are more tabs horizontally, then you can either use this button and this button to navigate to the hidden tabs, okay, or use this button to pull down a list of all the tabs. Let me tell you what I mean by that. So if you look at the screen here at the header, there is sales data, there is shipping data, billing data, and so on. And the last one that you see here is the status. But is that really the last tab? No. Because when you see these tabs tapering down like so, that means that there are more tabs over there. So by clicking on this button, you can see that I have moved further down to the right, and then there is additional data A and additional data B, which are just a set of additional tabs. So you can use these little buttons to navigate between the different visible and invisible tabs, either in the header or in the line item. Or you can just click on this little scratch pad kind of button, and then it will show you all the tabs that are available, including the hidden ones, and then you can just select the right tab and it will take the focus back to that tab. Alright, so that's how you navigate to the different tabs, whether they are visible or not. Now the next thing is schedule lines, right? Each line item could contain one or sometimes 0 or more than one schedule lines. A schedule line basically represents a schedule of the delivery. Just select a line item, like in this case I have selected line item 10. Now the way you select a line item could be a little tricky initially. So if there were two line items, let's say MO1 and MO2, the way to select line item 10 or 20 is by clicking on this little square to the left of that particular line item. If you select that, the entire line just gets highlighted. Right now I'm selecting both these two line items. Alright, now let me go to 20 and then click on this button, the one that looks like a bar chart. It's called the schedule lines button or the schedule line shortcut. So click on that and it will take you to the schedule lines tab of line item 20. And over here you'll see that these are the schedule lines. The structure of the schedule lines is very simple. It's not as complicated as the line item. So you select the line item by clicking on this left square and then click on this button. It will take you to the schedule lines tab of the line item, and then you have one or more than one schedule lines. The basic schedule line will look very simple. See, look at this example. See, the delivery date for this line 10 is 1/11/2010. Okay, 1/11/2010. Now the order quantity is 1, which is what the customer has ordered, right? The order quantity is 1, but the confirmed quantity is 0. What that means is the customer has asked for the goods to be delivered on 1/11/2010, the quantity being 1, But the system says, hey, you know what, I can't confirm the quantity by the requested date, but instead here is a date that I can get the goods ready by, and you see the confirmed quantity is 1, which is what was requested. Now how does the system know that it can't get them ready by 1/11 but it can get them ready by the 5/11/2010? That is because the system knows behind the scenes that if goods are not available, then either they are procured or produced, and depending on whether they are produced or procured, in the material master we would have maintained a bunch of timelines which basically say, hey, you know what, it's going to take so long to produce and so long to store them in the warehouse. Or if you are procuring them, it's going to take so long to create this purchase order, like 1 day, and then 5 days to get the goods from our vendor, and 1 day to store it in the warehouse, which will roughly make it like 7 or 8 days. And it's going to add that number of days and then say, I don't have the goods, but I can get you in 7 days, or I can get you in 5 days, depending on whether we are producing in-house or procuring from our vendor. That's the schedule lines. Now moving on, now we know how to navigate to the header, how to navigate to the line items, and how to navigate to the schedule lines. Now there is another way to go to the header, line items and schedule lines, and that's via the menu path. So click on go to, and then when you hover your mouse over the header, it will drop down and show you all the relevant tabs. So you just have to pick this tab, let's say accounting, and then it goes straight to that tab. Same with the line items. You click on go to, hover your mouse over the item, and then it will take you to all the tabs that are available at the line item level, and you can just select the right tab to go to that particular tab at the line item level. The only thing that you have to remember is, over here when you're selecting item, you have to make sure that you select the line item. But in this case we don't need to select anything because there is only one header. So let's see that in action. So go back and then go to header. I'm just hovering my mouse over header, and then it's a little tricky, you just gotta move your mouse properly, and then go to status. Right now we are in the header data status tab. It took you directly to the header and focused your attention on the status tab. Now let's go back and select line item 20, and then click on go to item, and then let's say billing tab. You see, it took you to the line item 20 and focused your attention on the billing document tab of that line item. That's how you navigate using the menu and go into the respective tabs of the header or the line items. Okay, now that's about the general navigation. So by now you should be comfortable to navigate to the different sections and tabs of the sales document, like how to go to different tabs in the sales header, line items, and how to go to the schedule lines for a particular line item and understand the contents of a schedule line. Now from this point on, we're going to pick some fields, like it could be fields like what I'm showing on the screen here, like order number or PO number, so on and so forth, and then we're going to explore the business significance of those fields. Okay, we're going to start off with the order number 12970, or in our case it is 14253. So what's this order number? An order number is SAP's internally generated order number. The customer did not give it, the system has automatically generated it. Normally this is always set to be automatic, meaning you're not going to create an order number, say 1 2 3 4 5. Instead, the system is automatically generate an order number, for example 1 2 3 4 5, and the next order that you generate using VA01 would be 1 2 3 4 6, and the next would be 1 2 3 4 7, so on and so forth. That's what I meant by auto increment. The system will be set to auto increment the order numbers, and they will be typically numeric. It's very rare to see an alphanumeric standard order. There are some cases where you might want to do alphanumeric order numbers, but there are a ton of restrictions on it in terms of ease of use, in terms of the user exits or customization that you have to do, so on. And this order number is used to uniquely identify that order number in the system. Meaning, anytime in the future, you can go back to VA02 or VA03, punch in this number, and get all the data relevant for that order on your screen. Now, what's a PO number? So, order number as in sales order number. This is purchase order. So, the PO stands for purchase order. Now, this is very free in terms of what you can put in there. It's very liberal. So you can put in text, you can put in alphanumeric, you can put in numbers, you can put in special characters. It's really up to you. You got like around 30 characters or 20 characters, and then you can enter whatever you like. Now, this is not generated by the system in general. It's given by the customer, and we use that as a reference. Now, here is how I would let you imagine it. Let me give you a scenario. Okay, so here is our customer, Walmart, and Walmart is placing an order. From Walmart's perspective, it's not a sales order, it's a purchase order, because Walmart is purchasing, so they call it a purchase order. HP, for example, is buying that order, is taking in that order, and HP would call it a sales order because HP is selling. Walmart is buying and HP is selling. It's the same thing. Walmart wants 20 computers from HP, and HP wants to sell the same 20 computers. They're referring to the same data, but the nomenclature is different. The naming convention is different. The customer always calls it a purchase order because the customer is buying or purchasing from us. The company generally tends to refer to it as a sales order because they are selling to the customer. Now, Walmart will have its own purchasing system. It could be an ERP, it could be whatever. In fact, Walmart has a pretty big purchasing system, right? Now, this purchasing system will keep generating POs or purchase orders, and each purchase order will have a unique number or some identification. So maybe it would say HP 102012 and HP 102013, so on and so forth. Let's say this order is coming through today, and then in VA01 we have created a sales order, right? And then when you create this sales order, in the PO number field we're going to put in HP 102012. Now this is what the customer would refer to, and when you create this order using VA01 and then save it, your sales order number would be, say for example, 14253, like what you see here. So this is 14253, which is a sales order number, whereas the purchase order number is, let's say, HP 102012. Let me put that here, HP 102012. Assume this was what I created initially. Okay, now let me go back, and let's say this purchase order was placed on May 10th. Now on May, let's say 15th, Walmart calls up and says, hey, you know what, I placed an order on May 10th. The purchase order number is HP 102012. What is the status of this order? When is it going to be delivered? Now, how is the HP sales guy who takes that call be able to answer that question? The simple answer to that is he'll go inside the sales order, like using VA02 or VA03, search for the sales order number 14253 using the information that was given to him, which is HP 102012. Let's just quickly do that. Go to VA03, and we don't know this order number. Let's say I don't know this order number. This was created 10 days ago, 5 days ago, right? But I do know that Walmart is just specifying what their purchase order number is, which is HP 102012, and then click on search. See, the system is cross-referencing the customer's purchase order number with our sales order number 14253, and then it's automatically pulling in that order, right? So probably you understand by now that a PO number is given to us by the customer, and that is used to actually cross-reference the order, our order number or the company's sales order number, to the customer's purchase order number. Alright, next, net value. This is the net value. Sometimes this could be before tax, sometimes this could be after tax. We're going to discuss more in pricing. Until that point, we're not going to worry too much about what is net value, how it's computed, what is tax, what are discounts, so on and so forth. Next, we have a PO date. Now, PO date is not the same as the date on which you created the order. It's the date on which the PO has come in. Okay, so let me take another take at the example that we were just saying. We said that Walmart placed an order on the May 10th for HP 102012 PO number, and the sales order number is 14253, and let's say May 10th was a Friday. Okay, let's say May 10th was a Friday, and all the staff for HP left for the day. Now they're going to look at the order again on Monday, which is, let's say, May 13th, which is a Monday. They're going to look at this purchase order and then process this sales order. Now you see the creation date for the sales order is May 13th, but the PO date ideally should be May 10th. Now you might ask me, what difference does it make? What difference does this 3 days make? When HP receives this order, it sends back a confirmation saying, yeah, we did create an order, we have received your order, and we will process it further. Thank you very much. That's what pretty much an order confirmation is. In the order confirmation, they're going to have the customer, the items, the prices, so on, and the PO date as well. Right? Now, Walmart doesn't want to see a date of May 10th or May 13th maybe, because of a variety of reasons. So most of the time, companies are okay with dates. No big deal. Nobody bothers really. But sometimes in big organizations, there are some rules that have to be followed. For example, let's say this line that I've drawn is a quarter end. Okay, this is April, May, June, and this is June 30th. I believe June has 30, right? And then here we start with July 1st. If the order came in on June 30th and we were only able to create the sales order on July 3rd, and if this Pio date says it is July 3rd, it's going to be a problem for Walmart, isn't it? Walmart maybe has budget for this purchase only until June, so they're not going to, or they're not supposed to issue purchase orders beyond June because they don't have the budget. So the Pio date should always be between April and June, and it should not be before or after June, because that's what they're budgeted for, right? Silly, kinky things really doesn't really have to bother you, but you have to remember that there is a date called Pio date, and that is really different from the creation date. I'll show you the creation date in a bit. Okay, net value, Pio date. You can backdate the Pio date like so. Like if you go back and then change this order, you can backdate the Pio date. Let's say today it's the 9th of May, right? You can make it to the 30th of May if you like. No big deal. Okay, it's a free form with no validations. Next, we have sold to party 1400, ship to party 1400, and then a whole bunch of different partner functions that I'm going to show you now. Now I'm using a word called partner functions. What is this partner function? So the examples that I'm showing you here are sold to, ship to, bill to, payer, but it's not just limited to that. There could be n number of partner functions. In the transaction, you can just go to the header by clicking on this button again. Click on partners, and then you'll see a whole bunch of partners there, and then more if you like. Like for example, we see contact persons, we see sales employees, so on and so forth. So let me take an example here and then try and illustrate the concept of partner functions. This is really important. Okay, so just try and focus on the subject. What do we have here is a company. Let's say Siva is a small company with, you know what, let's say you know 100 employees. So Siva is in the process of setting up an office with 100 employees, which requires 100 PCs, 100 desks, 5 routers, 3 servers, whole bunch of software, so on and so forth. Now with this kind of requirement, you can't just go to any one company, right? You can't just go to HP or Cisco and then buy all of that stuff. You'd have to go to a provider or a consulting firm or an infrastructure firm that can do all of this for you in a very integrated fashion. Okay, you could call them resellers, you could call them value-added resellers, you could call them sometimes distributors. It's really up to the nature of the business transaction. But let's start off with a reseller who is ABC Consultants. Okay, let's say they are local to the place where Siva lives, and then they said, yeah, we can do all that for you. Okay, so take your order, 100 PCs, 100 desks, 5 routers, so on and so forth. So ABC takes an order, and when ABC takes this order, the sold to, if they were implementing SAP, let's say, is Siva Incorporated. So whom are they selling the goods to? Okay, this is a primary entity. Then we have ship to. Maybe Siva says, you know what, initially I might not have all the space for 100 computers, but I do have a warehouse maybe in Fremont, California with this address and then ship it there. Okay, so ship to is Siva Inc., but to the Fremont address, not to maybe the San Francisco address. Right, that's the ship to. Payer, who's going to pay for this transaction? Maybe Siva Inc. Got a loan from the bank, or maybe some angel invested in Siva Incorporated and he's going to pay for it, right? So the payer is going to be, let's say, XYZ Ventures, who is paying on behalf of Siva for this venture, right? Who is the bill to? Meaning, who is supposed to get the bill? A payer pays for the bill. A bill to receives the bill. When I meant receives the bill, it's as simple as getting a copy of the bill, but you don't have to really pay for it. That's a bill to. A payer pays for the bill. Okay, so the bill to could be Siva Inc., as well as there could be multiple bill tos, right? Everybody wants to see the bill, so it could be XYZ Ventures as well. Okay, so this is the partners associated with the transaction that Siva is giving to ABC Consultants, in this case an order. Now ABC Consultants will source these different products from different companies. Now the routers will be sourced from Cisco, the PCs would be sourced from HP, let's say, desktops would be sourced from Office Depot, so on and so forth. Now, they might not directly speak with HP, but they might have an mediator distributor, say Ingram Micro, which is a distributor to HP. So they're going to place an order to Ingram Micro because Ingram Micro actually gives better prices for smaller resellers than HP does because of the volume of business that they do, right? So if Ingram Micro were implementing SAP, how would it be? So sold to is ABC here. So whom are they selling this to? ABC. It's not Siva Incorporated. Siva Incorporated is just a ship to address for them or an end user for them, but they are not the ones placing the order, right? The order is placed by ABC Consultants. And what about the ship to? The ship to could be ABC in case ABC wants to receive the goods, maybe unpack them, install some software and ship it after that to Siva Incorporated. Or depending on the business process, they might just say, hey, you know what, ship it directly to my client, Siva Incorporated. Either way, it's fine. Who is paying for this transaction? Typically it's ABC, but if ABC doesn't really want to take any financial risk, they'll say, hey, you know what, I'm not going to pay it, my customer is going to pay it directly, which is XYZ Ventures. So it's either this or this, generally, that it's not both. And then bill to, it could be one bill to, it could be more than one bill to. There are other partner functions. Let's say when ABC Consultants called up Ingram Micro, they were speaking to a sales employee, say Adam. So he is the sales employee to Ingram associated with this transaction, which is an order on behalf of Siva Incorporated. Okay, and who is the end user? Meaning, okay, we are selling some goods. Where is it going? It's going to ABC Consultants, all right. But is he consuming the goods? Not really, right? He's selling it back after adding some value to another company, Siva Incorporated, his customer. So the end user in this case is Siva Incorporated. Now, why am I even capturing it here? Maybe it's required for reporting, maybe it's required for audit reasons, maybe it's required for any other special function that Ingram Micro deems fit in this scenario. For example, Adam is captured because it could be informational, or sometimes this could be for commissions. Oh, you made $10 million in sales, you get 1% out of it, so on and so forth. Now when HP takes this order from Ingram Micro, again, who is the sold to? Ship to, payer, bill to, and then if necessary more bill tos. There could be a sales rep here, there could be an end user here, there could be a cooperative buyer here, there could be a value added distributor here, so on and so forth. Sold to is Ingram, ship to is, let's say, ABC, payer is let's say Ingram in this case, generally it's the distributor that pays for the goods. Bill to is Ingram because he doesn't want to share the bill with ABC. Sales rep is the HP sales rep in this case, who is, let's say, Will. End user is again Siva Incorporated always, right? Who's a cooperative buyer? Another partner function. I really don't go into the details of it, but that depends on the nature of the business scenario. Cooperative buyer is generally when different companies form a cooperative and then buy goods because they have more leverage, right? Who is a value added distributor here? Ingram Micro. He's doing the distributor. Who is a reseller? In case there is a reseller, you can say VAR, value added reseller, is ABC, so on and so forth. So a partner function, these are all called partner functions. A partner function is an entity or a stakeholder, right? An entity or a stakeholder responsible or has a stake in the transaction. Now that stake could be financial, informational, or whatever. In the case of one sales rep, he could get some commissions. In the case of another sales rep, maybe it's just information. Hey, how many sales did you do for the day? Or how many sales did you do for the month? How were you performing against the previous month? Sometimes it's entities that don't have anything to do with the transaction. For example, the cooperative buyer who is not really paying for the bill, nor is he looking at the bill, nor is he receiving the goods, but it is just there to ensure that you get a better deal.